It's a very warm welcome to all our viewers and welcome to a new edition of Arab Affairs, our program bringing you all the latest news in the Arab region. My name is Angie Meher and I'll be joining you for today's episode. And of course, as usual, we begin straight away with a look at some of the news making the headlines from the Arab region. Stay tuned.
On the sidelines of the Jeddah Security and Development Summit, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held a meeting with his American counterpart Joe Biden. During the meeting, Biden stressed that the U.S. administration is looking forward to enhancing coordination and strategic consultation with Egypt in the coming stage. President el-Sisi discussed food security and disruptions to energy supplies with Biden. Presidential spokesman Ambassador Bassem Razi said that the two leaders also addressed ways to revive the Palestinian peace process, as the American president pointed out to Egypt's pivotal role in the Middle East under the wise leadership of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, which represents a key pillar for maintaining peace and security in the region. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi underscored Egypt's fixed policy towards Iraq to boost its Arab and national role, offering all support for the Iraqi people on all levels and helping Iraq to overcome all challenges, especially in its war against terrorism. This came during his meeting with Iraqi Prime Minister Mustafa al-Kadhimi on the sidelines of the Jeddah summit, as President el-Sisi stressed the importance of speeding up Egyptian-Iraqi joint projects. For his part, al-Kadhimi expressed his country's appreciation to Egypt's efforts in supporting his country on all levels and that he was looking forward to enhancing cooperation with Egypt. Egypt offers sincere condolences over the victims of the brutal attack that targeted civilians, including children, in northern Iraqi Kurdistan region as artillery shells hit a park in an attack. Egypt expressed solidarity with Iraq in facing all shapes of violent terrorism and extremism and wished speedy recovery for the injured. Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Ghait also denounced the Turkish attack on Iraq that led to death, totally refusing any breach of Iraqi sovereignty and international law. Syria said that an Israeli attack on the capital Damascus has killed 3 soldiers and injured 7 others on Thursday. Syrian state media said that the regime's air defenses have intercepted missiles launched from the Golan Heights, attacking points in the vicinity of Damascus, and managed to down some of them. It added that the attack also caused material damage, according to the statement, without any clarifications. The United Nations was pushing Yemen's warring sides to agree a 6-month truce extension, which would be the longest in the 7-year-old conflict, as international pressure grows on both sides to end the war. Peace efforts gained a boost after U.S. President Joe Biden visited Saudi Arabia last week, where he announced agreement with the Saudi leadership to deepen and extend the ceasefire expiring on August 2nd, as the war has pitted a coalition led by Riyadh against Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthis since 2015. However, UN Special Envoy for Yemen Hans Grunderberg has to address strong grievances from both sides before they accept a further renewal of the existing 2-month truce that first took hold in April. If agreed, this 6-month extension would be the biggest step so far in the United Nations process towards resolving a conflict that has killed tens of thousands of people and left millions facing famine in a severe humanitarian crisis.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi marked on Saturday the 70th anniversary of the 23rd of July 1952 revolution. We now bring you the President's address to the nation.
تحل اليوم الذكرى 70 لثورة 23 يوليو المجيدة التي مثلت تتويجا لنضال طويل.
The Egyptian people defended their rights in a nation of a high level. Such a revolution has managed to establish the first republic to our homeland and change the life radically, not just in Egypt, but in the whole area. It has an inspiring contributions in the world movement to eliminate colonization and establish the people's right of their determinations, while the world map has been changed and the flags of the freedom and independence have raised high in most of the Arab and African countries. The great people of Egypt, the history of your armed forces have always been full of heroic acts and national achievements. Among such, the glorious July 23rd revolutions, where the armed forces have carried its banner when its leader led the revolutions since 70 years ago to be rounded and united the masses of the people, and announcing the launching of the revolutions and that return to the nations its pride and to the citizen its dignity, and to establish the relationship between the people and its army, have featured throughout decades of unity and the mutual deep trust. It is a unique relationship between a struggled people and an army that is a symbol of the national institutions and that carried its duty, doing it in its best, did not deviate it. Greetings of appreciation and pride of such a very glorious anniversary for those heroes who led the revolution, carried their lives in their hands to make a new dome for its nation, on top of which the late President Gamal Abdel Nasser, President Anwar Sadat, as well as President Mohammed Najib. Great people of Egypt, we insist by all means to achieve the higher causes that are on top of us, as well as the higher causes that we shoulder in order to advance our nation and to change its reality to the best, and to be Egypt is capable in providing a decent life for their sons or sons of the current generation, as well as the upcoming generation, taking into consideration the escalated changes of this era. As Egypt, in its geographical position and presence, its international role cannot be away of such changes and challenges that swept the whole world. As you may agree with me that there is no way to overcome such challenges without serious and continued efforts. As Egypt has witnessed and confronted very diversified challenges of social, economic, and political as well as security dimensions, I assure you that without the efforts of the state in the field of economic reform, shouldered by the Egyptian people, as well as the mega national project throughout the Republic, it couldn't be possible to hold before these swift crisis witnessed by the whole world 3 years ago. The successive achievements being undertaken throughout the past years, in particular in the infrastructure, new urban communities, energy, industrial localizations, as a witness of the strength of the Egyptian will to progress and building a better future and establishing a national economy that is solid and strong. The great people of Egypt are fully confident of the strength of our determination altogether to continue steadfastly and in trust in the path we've chosen today throughout and towards the new republic, a new republic of construction and development and changing the reality, a republic that is establishing a social and intellectual as well as comprehensive human pattern, building a modern human led by a very noble humanity. Despite the the opposite escalation contributed by the international challenges, yet we are, God willing, capable as well as by the determination of our great nation to overcome. Our celebration today of the July 23rd Revolution anniversary as an renewable momentum for work day by night to take our beloved homeland in advance, as well as achieving the beloved people in a better future and dawn, enlightened by security and development, and stability flourished by development. And conclude, once again, I congratulate and salute you all in the occasion of the glorious July 23rd Revolution. Having many returns and our beloved Egypt in advancement and security, as always. Long live Egypt, long live Egypt, long live Egypt, and peace be upon you all.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by Dr. Hassan Wagih, Professor of Political Science. Dr. Hassan, a very good afternoon to you, sir. Hello, Dr. Hassan?
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Hello?
Yes, Dr. Hassan, can you hear us on
Hello?
the line?
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon, doctor.
Hello?
Right, apologies, we seem to be having
Yes, yeah.
Yes, are you with us now, Dr. Hassan?
Yeah, I am with you now. Yeah.
Yes, a very good afternoon to you, doctor. Thank you so much for joining us, sir, this afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And of course, today the President marked the 70th anniversary of the 23rd of July 1952 revolution, which of course turned Egypt into a republic and changed life in Egypt as they knew it at the time. Tell us a bit about, the statements of the President, and how was this revolution laying the foundation of the First Republic?
Yes, the 23rd of July revolution really laid the foundation for a new republic, which is different from the previous kingdom at that time. It laid 6 principles about establishing strong army, about establishing social justice, and of course, when it comes to justice, it has its own manifestations. And also, you have to be, it laid also a very important thing, which is the neutrality, or formal and positive neutrality. And of course, Egypt is trying to pursue all these principles till now.
Mm-hmm. Indeed, Dr. Hassan. And, we saw in the President's speech how he said that this revolution was really a culmination of a long struggle, that was led by the Egyptian people. And Egypt, of course, has faced many diverse challenges, whether economically, socially, or politically, over, a span of many years. How do you see this revolution really as having inspiring contributions to the developments that were witnessed in Egypt?
Yeah, I think one of the most important pillars is that Egypt independence is so high as a slogan, and that was actualized by nationalization of the Suez Canal. 1956 crisis is still one of the crises that people write about it till now, because it was by Egypt, which is a role country, challenged any person who really challenges sovereignty or interfere in the affairs of the Republic of Egypt. And Nasser launched that move a long time ago. And as I've said, when we are talking about the positive neutrality, yes, Nasser put 3 circles, which is of concern till now. The circles of Africans, we have to go for the African depth and care about African states and the unity in Africa, and settling any differences with our brothers in Africa, and the circles on Islamic Arab circle, and the international circles. These are the three circles that I think the Egyptian foreign policy is pursuing till now, and they try to address all these circles with great deal of efforts.
Absolutely. Dr. Hassan, how do you see, this revolution really reflecting, the strong bond between the Egyptians and the armed forces at the time? And how was this revolution supported by the Egyptians back then?
Yeah, I think Egypt's army and Egypt's people is a very unique story, because this is the army of the people. So there is very strong connection between the Egyptian people and its armed forces. So this bond is still strong, and it will go on as a very strong bond. Egypt also had this, Egyptians had also this pride in the Egyptian army. Even in the critical moments worldwide, when the major battle that really specified the entire world order was in Al Alamein, where people from all over Europe was a volcano. So Cairo had all those people from all nationalities to fight against Hitlerism, against fascism, and it was in the border of Egypt. And with all these forces, it was called by the foreign leaders the Army of the Nile. So the Army of the Nile has very strong relationship with history, which we are very proud of.
Absolutely. Dr. Hassan, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi highlighted the successive achievements in Egypt over the recent years, especially in the areas of infrastructure, the new urban communities, energy, the industry localization, etc. And he said that, the government is taking the helm of continuing the role of changing the life of Egyptians to a more decent life. How do you see this comment by the president, and how do you see the government's work towards this?
Yes, these are very important comments by the president, and it tells us and it tells everyone that efforts are to be accumulated. Long time ago, we have been struggling to achieve justice, equality, building our country as a strong country with a strong economy, with a strong army. And I think this continuity should go on, and with accumulation, and this is what is happening on the ground.
Right, absolutely. I'd like to thank you very, very much, Dr. Hassan Waghi, Professor of Political Science. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and your insight, and for joining us on today's edition of Arab Affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, a short break, and we'll be right back to continue. Stay tuned.
موجهة على لسان الشعب أن يغادر جلالته البلاد قبل الساعة 6 من مساء اليوم.
بني وطني، اجتازت مصر فترة عصيبة في تاريخها الأخير من الرشوة والفساد وعدم استقرار الحكم، وعلى ذلك فقد قمنا بتطهير أنفسنا، وتولى أمرنا داخل الجيش رجال نثق في قدرتهم وفي خلقهم وفي وطنيتهم، ولا بد أن مصر كلها ستلقى هذا الخبر بالابتهاج والترحيب. كان الغزاة الأجانب يحتلون على أرضه وبالقرب منها القواعد المدججة بالسلاح ترهب الوطن المصري وتحطم مقاومته. إننا جميعا سنحافظ عن سيادتنا، سندافع عن كرامتنا، أن ندافع عن العزة، وأن ندافع عن الحرية، وأن ندافع عن الكرامة. هذه هي أهدافنا التي انبثقت عنها ثورتنا والتي عملنا على إرسائها.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we're now delighted to be joined over the telephone by our guest, Dr. Yusuf Mazhar, the political analyst. Dr. Yusuf, a very good afternoon to you, sir. Dr. Yusuf?
Yes, I'm there. I listen
yes,
to you.
Very good afternoon to you, Doctor, and thank you so much
Yes.
for joining us this afternoon. And we just saw the televised speech by President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, where he, of course, congratulated Egyptians marking the 70th anniversary of the 23rd of July 1952 revolution. And the president in his speech said this revolution managed to establish, Egypt's first republic and radically changed life in the country as well as the entire region. Could you tell us a bit more about how this change came about, Dr. Yusuf?
Yes, well, I think it's a very interesting question which deserves a lucrative answer.
Yes,
you see that Egypt, of course, went through many episodes in its history, but the episode of 23rd of July was one of the remarkable changes, bringing Egypt out of a sort of indirect coma, world coma, into the top lines of politics and economics. And this was basically the reason was that the management of the government or the president himself was open to many things, open to different countries, open to different, let's say, agreements. There was not a single agreement in these last years after the 23rd of July that Egypt was not part of it.
Yes.
So 23rd of July marks a new episode in the different episodes of Egyptian modern history, where I think we emerge in the world arena as a major player, not as a normal sort of sitting by the fire idea, but we became involved in many things. And the reason it's 23rd of July is just because the whole episode went around that particular date, you see.
Yes.
So, the countries pick dates where there's been major changes in life and in politics and everything. And this marks a new way of management, a new way of delegation of authority, and new international relations. So I think the 23rd of July has made its mark, and even though there are other, let's say, dates in Egyptian history, but in modern Egyptian history, this is something that brought us in the middle of the active world. We are large players now, much larger than before.
Absolutely.
And so everybody's very happy to be celebrating 23rd of July.
Absolutely. Doctor, the head of state said that this revolution also had inspiring contributions to global movements of decolonization, and consolidating the rights of peoples to self-determination. And this was very visible in many other African nations at the time. How do you see the Egyptian revolution becoming, a kickstart factor for this?
Yes, well, that's very interesting because, Africa, and we are sitting at the top of Africa, looks around the world. It looks to Europe, looks to America. But sometimes they feel that this is very far-reaching for achievement. And when they look at Egypt, which is in the middle of the African continent, and see the achievements, independence, and then agreements, and then Suez Canal openings, and playing in politics, they feel that they, as other African countries, with their present resources, they can also play a part. If Egypt can do it, they always said, we can do it. So that's a moral, very important thing, but more important that by the different organizations, when these countries, the different African countries, whether they are south, west, or north even, they looked at the achievements and they joined these achievements. So Egypt was sort of showing everybody in Africa, well, it doesn't mean that in Africa you're going to stay put. No, it means that you're going to be like Egypt. You're going to be one of the main players. You're the main players in the United Nations, in the European Union. All these are very important and significant effects. And you can see it now, the amount of, let's say, meetings now in Cairo, the amounts of events which we are heading, which means something, of course, and the ones to come. We have got a lot of events coming up.
Yes.
I'm sure you are very well versed on them.
Absolutely. You know, the president said in his speech he was confident of the Egyptian resolve in moving towards the new republic, of course, the Republic of Development and Construction, and a general change, really, of reality for Egyptians, adding that the new republic will establish, you know, comprehensive intellectual as well as social systems, building this developed society. How do you see this statement by the president with regards to Egypt moving forward and with the development of the country as well as its citizens, Doctor?
Correct. Yeah. Well, look, when you say it's a new era, because you are marking a date in which everything will change. Government will change, the political system will change also, the activity in the international arena will also change to be more active. So it's very important to have a date, you know, a starting date put down, and this was chosen as this date of the, let's say, the Egyptian Revolution. It's taken as the starting point, let's say the starting gun, which let Egypt lose. But it was not only talk in this case, you see. Other dates were the talk, but this was actually, when you see the amount of, let's say, meetings we are heading now. We also see the number of international organizations we have created. And all these on the basis of that, the starting point, the starting gun, let's say, was the 23rd of July.
Yes.
So it has not only become a slogan, but it has become a starting point, a reference point, which you also can see what happened since the 23rd of July. You can see the doubling of manufacturing, the opening of the canal with greater width, our activities in peacemaking all over the world. So it's very important to have a symbolic and starting point on which to measure everything. I think Absolutely. That is the real significance of 23rd of July.
Absolutely. Dr. Yusuf, you know, despite, of course, the growing adverse circumstances caused by the multiple unfavorable international incidents and developments, for example, the Ukrainian situation, the energy prices, food security issues, etc. The president said, you know, he's confident Egyptians will overcome these challenges through serious and continuous work, as of course Egypt has faced many challenges in the past and overcome them as well. How do you see, you know, the government's role in supporting Egyptian citizens now with the challenges and how they have overcome them in the past?
Correct. Well, the example that you mentioned is rather a very difficult example. In the case of, you know, a new situation where a country has to align itself either to the west or to the east, and it is at that point. And I think that by holding hands with all these countries, smaller countries who want to have their own way of governing themselves, also in order to broker their relationships with the, let's say, the two large powers in the world, I think Egypt has been very useful because, let's say, holding hands with a relatively small group of countries, as you see lately, and talking with them and going with them to the big powers at the moment is very rewarding and very convincing for these countries. So they feel they have friends equal, or let's say almost equal to these world powers, and so that we got along very well with the world powers, whether left or right or any of the forms that take place. And this means that they have found a valuable partner in order to keep on going and not to give up hope. Egypt has always voted for what they wanted, and that's important, you know, in the UN. If you vote for a cause of a smaller grouping, you're backing it. And so Egypt has become, let's say, the friend and let's say the place that was always ready for smaller units or smaller countries or problems to come in and step in with all its clout and all its strength. And this has made it a very, let's say, a favorable partner everywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Dr. Youssef, a final question, please, sir, if I can. And let me ask you, how do you see, the lessons that we should be taking from the past and from such glorious revolutions as this one to deal with our life, today and prepare for the future, sir?
Well, you see, I think that the revolution, the 23rd of July, had a background which promoted that a revolution would be the right solution for moving from a situation that was rather, let's say, dark to an open and bright situation. I think now that this form is no longer necessary, and we have started properly, and the principles written and dictated by the 23rd of July and sponsored by the governing bodies at the moment is enough as a means to continue the way towards progress with a more even and happy and, let's say, less difficult path. This is it's a starting point, a successful starting point, and I think it will remain in history as one of the most famous jumps of Egypt towards international affairs. It's been given a nice title because of the date, and also it is not only a title or talk, it is also changes in government, changes in production, changing in the infrastructure. So let's say the number is not denoting a figure of largeness. It's denoting a figure of more roads, more highways, more connections, more jobs. It's a denotion of a 23 is now a number, a lucky number, which has pushed Egypt up into the future in a very fine way. So it's only just right and correct to call this whole evolution as the 23rd of July.
Absolutely. Dr. Youssef Mazhar, our political analyst and our guest for this afternoon. I'd like to thank you very, very much, sir, for your time and your insight and for joining us on today's edition of Arab Affairs. And that's all the time we have for today. You were in the company of myself, Angie Meher. Many thanks for watching.